Hello, 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 everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome back. In this video, we're going to start chapter 2, and we're going to read part 1, which is a question and answer format. And this portion of the question and answers, Saint Germain is going to answer a lot of questions that clarify a lot of what he spoke about in chapter 1 of this book. So let's go ahead and get started with, again, Earth's Birth Changes by Saint Germain and channeled by Azina Ramonda. All right, so questions and answers, part 1. And so he's asking, are there any questions at this time? And I'm sure, of course, there were. And I will say that these sessions were recorded between a period of 3 years. So I do not know if the audience was the same each time, but there was an audience with each session. Question. Saint Germain, when you were talking about the Titans of Lyra 20 million years ago and about the many warlords conquering the planets, at that point you referred to Yahweh. Was Yahweh a specific warlord at that time? And if so, of what density was he? Here's the answer. This is a grand misconception upon your plane, this that you call Yahweh of your time. It has led to many mistranslations, misperceptions, as much as the Jehovah energy has. Now, the letters IHWH or YHWY, however you want to translate it, was the verbiage or the alphabetical translation given to the leader of the Lyrian races at that time, and to the leaders of the Pleiadian races. Atlas was a YHWY, his mate was a YHWY. The conquering warlords of the plains of other worlds, other planets, were also YHWYs. It was merely a title. For example, in your verbiage, you call tissue Kleenex. Now, this word depicts a general concept of what tissue is. Kleenex, it is also a specific brand of tissue. The same is appropriate of this description for YHWY. There was one and there was the title of many at the same time. The particular entity you are referring to was indeed an entity of fifth density consciousness that came upon the lands of this plane, upon Maldak and upon Mars, and established a grand civilization of his people. We will discuss this when we also discuss the land of Egypt. Question. At that time, was it a loving energy or a warring energy? Answer. This particular one was a warring energy that became loving through many battles, as you all are establishing your own understanding in your now. Another question. When you were talking about Lemuria and Atlantis, you spoke about an Orion who came from Beta Centauri and conquered Atlantis. Would that be Jehovah? It was the forefather of the Jehovah energy. He is called Aris, which is where Ares came from, who spawned Jehovah. Jehovah was the grandson of Aris. Question. Could you help me to accomplish this acceptance within ourselves of both the dark and the light aspects of the positive and negative polarities in all their various aspects? How may we within ourselves manifest the God within us in his wholeness? How may we then also influence our governments, our world leaders, our power hungry? And then the person who's asking stops. I'm being judgmental. I'm sorry. And Saint Germain says, don't be sorry. And then he's going to finish up his question. But that is the way I feel presently. The power hungry people who are creating the chaos here. How may we somehow get them also to acknowledge both the good and bad aspects of themselves, so that we might have peace on this world? Answer. Wondrous query, my beloved brother. This is what we are all discussing this day in your time. When you contemplate negative energy, the dark forces, as you have termed it, it is allowing you to understand the light. For within the void, there is no light and dark. So bless it, for it is allowing you to know you, my beloved brother. It is allowing you to understand what you are and how you are experiencing, and the blessings you are garnishing from them. In this blessing of them, you send forth a vibration of I am into their atoms that resonate to it. You awaken within them a recognition of this I am without their conscious awareness. All the entities you encounter, before you utter yet a word unto them, bless them. It doesn't have to be a verbal blessing. Bless them with your heart, even if it is someone with whom you have grand controversy. Before you speak words of anger, you may say, I bless you, but I differ with you, and this is what I think of you. Now, as you begin to unfold into your own awareness, you will also begin to align your feelings of anger and the sputtering out of all the judgments against them. I beseech you, do not judge what is within you that is judgmental. You have a tendency to do this. Oh, I was judging, and therefore you judge yourself for judging. And as you encounter this aspect of yourself that is judgmental, all that is required is for you to say to yourself, I was judging. I bless that aspect of myself that judged, for without it, I would not be whole. I blend it and I merge it into the wholeness of I am. Integrate it, swirl it, caress it with the energies of love. Acknowledge it. Do not relinquish it outwardly of you. Blend it with you. Allow it to be enlightened with your light. Bring it into you. Say unto it, this is judgment. This is I. I love this judgment, for it is that which be I, and I transmute it in this moment to divine love. So be it. That is all that is required. If you do this often enough, it will become quite natural to you, and you will not have the experience of judgment out here as your perception of the world. For you will have integrated it into your being, and it will not be necessary for it to be reflected out here anymore. Do you understand? Question. You mentioned some beautiful entities. Are they in any way connected to the beings that live in the center of the earth? Indeed, for the land of Mu, or Mu, cultivated the grand inner cities. During that time, some 33,000 or so years ago, this was their grand spawning, as it were. Beneath the Gobi Desert, there is a grand inner city called Agopa, or Agapa, as you call it. Indeed, the inner cities, some of them are titanic in size, but they are all of light form. They are not a physical density form. If you would encounter 25-foot titans, you would feel quite belittled by them and quite overtaken. There are some of the inner peoples who are only 1 foot in height. And this is the same thing. They are quite overtaken by you. It is all very relative. Question, do they surface? From time to time, but they are overtaken with a bit of awe, shall we say, and they retreat. For you still have the warrior spirit and they do not. Question, are they far superior in light than we? A bit. They are 4th density and you are transitional 4th density. There are some that abide within the colonies of the inner earth that are of 5th and 6th density. But the ones you hear about in your legends, most of them are 4th density. Question. You mentioned Beta Centauri. I also know of Alpha Centauri, but I have never heard of Beta Centauri. And down here, he talks about Centaurus. It's a southern constellation between Hydra and the Southern Cross. Its brightest star, Alpha Centauri, is nearer to the Earth than any other known star. Last 3 stars within the Centaurian system. These stars create cultures upon the lands of other dimensions, other understandings, and other civilizations that are not physical and not part of this time flow. They emerge in your now to share the light of their awareness, of their understanding, to create within your plane the reflection of all humanity, whether it be in the 35th dimension or this dimension, whether it be in another universe or this universe. Wherever they come, they are all your brothers and they are all equal and they are all desirous of sharing the light. Now, Beta Centauri for a time was a colony of warriors who had fled to it, who indeed caused much spirit of disaster upon their plane. Those who had fled to it desired intensely to create their power there, their technology, so that they could go forth and wreak havoc and revenge upon those colonies from whence they fled. So indeed, the divine area of Beta Centauri is now populated by the descendants of these peoples that have led, that have understood the revolution and the harmonization and alignment of the warrior element. So from war and anger came harmony and peace. That is what is upon Beta Centauri now. All of you are of the genetic lineage of the Pleiades. When Pleha came forth upon this plane, there was within the governmental structure a scientist who desired to create a light wave to interpenetrate the gene of Isis with man upon this plane. That is where the chain of genes became changed, or starseeding. Primitive man, the Neanderthal, and the Cro-Magnon all came into transition. That is where the missing link is. And Neanderthal is designating a race of early man of the Paleolithic period, whose skeletal remains were first found in the Neander Valley in the Rhine province of Germany. And the Cro-Magnon. After the Cro-Magnon cave near Dorgon in France, where remains were discovered belonging to a prehistoric race of men who lived on the European continent, distinguished by their height and stature and their use of stone and bone implements. Question: when we come into contact with ourselves, with what we have judged, and we are moving into acceptance, into non-judgment, what is the role of our expression in that moment of time? Do we need to express that? First of all, there is no need within God. There is desire. God is not needy. Now, it is not a movement to this really. You are already in it. You are just not aware of it. It is an unveiling. You are not going anywhere. You are awakening. You see? Now, as non-judgment is integrated into the wholeness of you, and judgment is integrated into the wholeness of you, the judgment and non-judgment of your brothers will be expressed by allowing them to be limited if they so choose. If an entity comes unto you and says, I can't do this, this world is coming to an end, woe is me, and doom and gloom, you may state unto them, beloved brother, it is all a choice. It does not have to be this way. And they state unto you, oh, but yes, it does. Then you may state unto them, so be it if you wish. This is non-judgment. You are allowing them the opportunity to know. You are providing the banquet, the feast for them, but you are not pushing it down their throat. You are not becoming sovereign over them with your desire for them to be free. The greatest freedom is the allowance of others to be enslaved if they wish. You cannot free anyone from the chains or the bondage they revere. They love their experience or they would not be experiencing it. On one level or another, they are choosing it as their experience. You would say this would apply to aspects that we experience as being internal. What is the difference? It is all one. Do you know, my beloved, this is not the reality. This is the reflection of the reality. There is no difference. All of this is mirror. All of it, all of it, all of it. This room, your artificial lights, your brothers, your clothing, your physical appearance. It is all a reflection of your own consciousness in this now moment. And as you shift your consciousness, this reflection shifts. This is what you call travel by thought. You shift your awareness of consciousness and you shift everything around you. You do not go there. In a manner of speaking, it comes to you. You create it in an instant, in a twinkling of an eye. Thank you, my beloved, for this sharing indeed. Question: I would like to clarify further the identity and the relationship between the Men in Black and the Black League. My understanding from what you said is that the Men in Black come from the Orion energy and have a negative polarity of hatred, and that the Black League comes from the Pleiades and has a positive polarity of love. I will explain this further. The Orions are also capacitated with loving entities. There are both within the Orion system, although the ones who caused such grand proliferation of information on this plane are the ones of the negative or disharmonious vibration. Now, contemplate the word black. You judge this word greatly, do you not? Black is evil. It is of the devil. It is bad. It is horrendous. Do you know what black really is? There are several things that it really is. First of all, it is mysterious. It comes forth from the knowingness of the darkness of the womb, the female energy really. The womb from whence all things are created, the void, that which is not known, that which you are afraid of when you contemplate it. Indeed, there is a power that abides within the womb that is awesome. Once this power is sensed, it brings forth fear within the breast, because entities do not understand the awesomeness of this power of creative energy. That is what darkness means to certain entities, and that is why the darkness of the Inquisition and all of this brought itself forth in the burning of the witches at the stake, the creation of the Catholic Church, of stamping out what was beyond conscious awareness, what was telepathic or kinetic, what was of spiritual conception. Not physical conception, spiritual conception. What is that? Precipitation, materialization out of apparent nothingness. That is what you have termed to be magic, and it was polarized into black and white magic. Black magic came to be known as bad, and white magic came to be known as good. Black is absorbent. It absorbs energies. That is what a black hole is. It absorbs energies of universes into one point of eternalness. Now, how can you release the judgment of black? By understanding that it is simply a flow in one direction that has not understood the reversal of the polarity into the other direction. It has dammed itself up and created a ceasement, an awareness that is suffocated. All you need to do is breathe life into the blackness. Release the flow of the dam. Complete the circuit of the energy by blending with it. Reach out your hand, your heart, and complete the circuits. Then you will allow the black, the void, the mysterious essence of life, the absorbent energies, to flow into you, the gold of God, or the golden aura of Christus. In this flowing through the gold, it will transmute itself into white. The white and the black will be blended and intertwined, and they will be brilliant in their intertwining. Fourth density, according to many of you, does not have the polarities of negative and positive, but in reality they do. There is a fourth density masculine energy and a fourth density physical energy, but when they are blended with the golden energy of Christus, they become lightened, brilliant. They become less dense, less heavy. They become aware a bit more of what they are. Now, white is the reflective principle, the combination and union of all the colors of the spectrum. It is the rainbow, the prismatic understanding as being altogether undifferentiated one from the other. It is the opposite of separation. It is the opposite of absorbency. It is the opposite of polarity. White has been given forth to the masculine energy upon the plane. The sciences, the structures of the churches. Why indeed would you consider that they dress themselves in white? The scientists, your physicians, it is the masculine energy of control, the reflection of power. But they do not absorb the power. They do not understand the black within them at this point. The key to non-judgment is the understanding that all contain both, or polarities. You are the element of the white and black, the Black League and the Men in Black, the Orions and the Pleiadians. Question. Then the Men in Black from Orion are all of the opposite polarity to the Black League from the Pleiades? The Men in Black, as you would term them, are only upon your plane. It is a recent structure, since about 1600 AD or so on your Earth. Are they the same as the Illuminati? Indeed, the Illuminati sprung from this, and down here let me give you an explanation of what he's referring to as the Illuminati. The original order of the Illuminati was a secret order of the Jesuits and the Franciscans and was called the Alumbrados, which means the enlightened or the Illuminati. The order of the Illuminati referred to here of today, the Bavarian Illuminati, was formed on the 1st of May, 1776 by Dr. Adam Weishaupt, a German Freemason, a Master Mason. His 6 main points to form a new world order state the abolition of, number 1, ordered or nationalistic governments, 2, private property, 3, inheritance rights, 4, patriotism to national causes, 5, social order in families, sexual laws, and moral codes, And 6, all religious disciplines based on faith in God. There are the Orion Illuminati and the Pleiadian Illuminati. The Illuminati has been given negative connotation. At times, when I speak about the Illuminati, I speak of it in the connotation that you are contemplating in that moment. The Golden Illuminati, the Pleiadian energy, which is the Black League, again upon your plane, are also the ones who are the ascended masters coming forth to interpenetrate from the inner core of your structures. All of them, the bureaucratic understandings and your government, to allow the light to be brought forth from the center point to expand into a supernova. And I think that was the only... Okay. Question. It seems to me that usually the beings from the Pleiades with the positive polarity are referred to as the White Brotherhood. And I see that there's a potential confusion in the use of the term Black League. Confusion? Co-fusion. Fusion with all that is. Did we not speak of this? We certainly did. The white and the black are really the same. That is what the whole point of this discussion is. Question. Are the men in black from Orion and the Black League from the Pleiades third density human beings? Some of them are, and some of them are light beings. Question. So some are third density and some are fourth and fifth and higher. Indeed, the ones who are terrorizing this plane of your now are of the physical density. The warlords, such as your Ayatollah, and the ones within the governmental structures who are squelching the information about your brothers in space. There are other things concerning this which we will discuss later indeed. Question. Could you explain a little further the daughter of someone who changed the name of the star system to Pleiades, Pleha? Who was she the daughter of, and why was that name change necessary? And then why did she go forth as a warrior? She learned from her father the only knowingness that her father presented, as you teach your own children. The fearful leader from the area of Lyra, after they destroyed themselves, and after the destroyer, a comet came forth into this area of your skies. This was a leader that took with him the grand ships and peoples and wandered aimlessly within the cosmos for a period of time. This particular entity is referred to in certain translations by quite different names. One of them is Isis. Why did she change the name to Pleiades? This is what all leaders do. They change the name of the lands they conquer to their own. What was her name then, and how do you spell it? Pleha is how you would spell it. Question. My impression was that the father of Pleha was the fifth density warlord known as YHWY. That was the title. All leaders of the Pleiades were called YHWY. And then another question or an ongoing of a thought. I was thinking about the specific one who, and then he's going to cut him off and answer. This is not the same one. The YHWY that you desire to understand was a warlord that came forth upon Maldak and caused the destruction of Maldak indeed. He is talking about the energy of who we call Jesus today. Obviously, if you believe in reincarnation, you would understand that when Jesus was here as Jesus, it was not his first life. And now Saint Germain is... Let me see here. Oh, next question. I have been, in a sense, disturbed because my desire is to know through experience if, in fact, I have lived before. Is there a technique that you can give me so that I can practice it and eventually come to the experiential knowing of it? And then he comes back, Saint Germain, and says, let me ask you a question. Have you experienced what some call déjà vu? And the person that asked the question says, yes. That is not always a past experience. At times, it is a future experience. At times, it is a parallel universe experience. At times, it is an experience of your soulmate. Now living before is the only acknowledgement of the eternality of the soul. If you would consider that you were birthed into this earth, that you cease your embodiment and you cease your existence forevermore into a smattering of nothingness, into a black hole of nothingness, then that is all right. You will understand later. And the person asking the question says, I don't feel comfortable with that conclusion. And he says, Saint Germain, all right, whatever you wish. Now, this plane reigns supreme with human free will. If it is your utter desire to understand your experiences, focus not upon the past. Focus upon all dimensions. Multidimensionality, simultaneity is exhibited within the vibration of any memory. For as you remember one life, you are also remembering concurrent other lives at the same time that are overlaid upon that life. Past life regression and therapy and all of this, it is wondrous. It is what you call a grand springboard or stepping stone, but it is not the unlimited manner in which to understand the alignment of your being and harmonious representation within this life. For when you contemplate the millions of lives that you currently exhibit within, the millions of universes now, not past, not future, now, the millions and millions of diverse experiences that you are having not only through you, but through your soulmates, it would take eons of time to explore every life. So you see, when you merge them all into one instantaneous, magnificent, glorious remembrance, you have the element of transition within your palms, within your breast. Okay, let me see what I have left here because some of them are longer. So, okay, we'll read a few more. How can one do this? Experience familiarity with everything you do. As you speak a word, know that you have spoken those very words before to the same energy. Not necessarily same person, but energy. Know that you have gone forth upon this plane in the very same pathways upon the ground. Not only before, but later, and alternate nows. That you visited the inner earth. And when you have a direct attunement to what you view, such as many have had with the grand tales of the Star Wars and the grand tales upon your television and cinema screens, of the previous battles in your history of life, and you resonate to them and you feel familiar with it, know that you have been there. You would not feel familiar if you did not identify it as your own experience. For there would be no identification if there was not a resonance within your own being to identify with. That applies also to entities that you feel you have known or encountered before. As you come unto them and you ask yourself, have I known you before? You seem so familiar. In this case, the answer is always yes. You would not have the question if it were not so. Indeed. You have spoken several times of inner earth beings. I have read that the earth is hollow and that the openings to the earth are 1,400-mile wide holes at the north and south poles. Is that true? There are several understandings of what you term to be the inner earth. First of all, there's a certain void within the core, the center point of the earth. However, this is not the inner earth of which I speak. The inner earth that I speak about is a different dimension. There are corridors from the crust to the core of the earth, electromagnetic connections, through the light rays which resonate from the core to the crust of the earth. As you pass through such a particular area, they transmute you into that time. It is like a time tunnel capable of transporting you to a different dimension that is superimposed within the center of the earth. Do you understand? It has the same space as Earth, but not the same time. The space/time is different. Therefore, the experience within it would be perceived as familiar and at the same time unfamiliar, for you are experiencing two dimensions at once. You understand? So the poles then of the Earth are covered? The poles of the Earth are entrances to these corridors, both of them. The axis of the poles, as it were, is not the same as it was. The corridors have shifted. Some of them have been sealed through the grand transitions of Earth, the catastrophes and cataclysms of Mother Earth and her torrential experience. Indeed, you may transmute the seals and open the rivers of their wisdom unto you through thought. Open sesame. Do you know sesame? Do you know what this means? And then the person says, somewhat. Let me take a look here and see. Yeah. Okay, a few more quick ones. So the person says somewhat that he understands. So Saint Germain's going to elaborate. A grand leader of another world came forth, and his name was Sesame. The peoples of the land desired to have communion with this entity, and yet he remained isolated. And those people, in their earnest desire to have communion with him, would gather together in circles and resonate and would think with their heart. This is the merging of the mind and the soul. Open sesame, open sesame, open sesame, to allow communion with their grand leader. For they desired not to be in dominion. They desired to be of equality, and they desired not to establish war. Therefore, through thought energy, they brought forth this communion. It is truly a grand thought vibration where you may open sesame within your own being. Is this of assistance? And the person says, yes, thank you. Okay. So the next bit is a bit longer, and it's going to talk a little bit about dolphins. We're going to talk about the Sedona area, and we're going to talk about some really neat things as we go in here. We're just sort of getting through a bit of what he's opening with. So hopefully you can stick with me and you do find this somewhat interesting. I know this might not resonate with everybody, but I do find it quite interesting to learn and understand this. So I figure if I find it interesting, you might find it interesting, or myself in another time or another place might find it interesting. So we're going to stop right there with that for tonight, and we'll read the next half of chapter 2 and part 1 for the questions and answers in my next video. So until next time, please take care of yourself, please take care of those around you, and I will see you soon. I will see you again very soon. All right, bye-bye.